For nearly 150 years, Central Vermont Railway and its predecessors weathered corporate maneuvers, an evolving traffic base, and four-season climate. CV's main line cut a 325-mile swath from the Canadian border at East Alberg, Vermont, to New London, Connecticut, on the Long Island Sound. Even in its final decades, CV's well-manicured roadbed belied the effects of deregulation, declining business, labor management tension, downsizing, and lowered morale. Difficult times notwithstanding, freight trains sprinted at a healthy 40 miles an hour, while passengers watched 59 mileposts click by.
It was a difficult time because the railroad was losing money, as I understand it, and the CN obviously saw no great obligation to keep this line alive in Vermont just because it always had. And it's pretty hard to try and sustain employee morale when you know that the railroad is going to get rid of you if they can.
Rail analysts wondered if the regional railroad could survive with more locally based management and less stringent union rules. Railtex Corporation gambled it would, buying the CV from Canadian National in 1995.
Many of the people who worked there lost their jobs. Some of them carried on with the New England Central. But that's kind of sad, and it was done with virtually no ceremony. There were no bands playing. There was no, banner, last CV train out of St. Albans, and that sort of thing.
On February 3rd, a trio of CN locomotives escorted 5 2,000-horsepower GP38s to the Green Mountain State. Freshly painted NECR 9531, 9549, 9530, 9521, and 9536 arrived at St. Albans during the afternoon with 3 loads and 56 empties. 8 former Gulf, Mobile, and Ohio Electromotive EMD Jeep 38s were overhauled at Conrail's Altoona shops in an attractive dark blue car body with mustard tan nose and roof, yellow lettering, and silver trucks.
A lot of the folks that came up from Texas did not like the Vermont climate. Like, people like me don't like the Texas climate.
The day they took it over, just about, they had a bad snowstorm in St. Albans, had something like 17 inches of snow. And Jim Davis, I love this guy, he said to me, "I've learned how to shovel snow." And I says, "What do you mean you learned how to shovel snow?" He said, well, I went out and I had all this snow in my driveway and I got the shovel and I shoveled all the snow all the way out and I felt so good until I turned around. Well, I've been shoveling the snow over my shoulder and it's all right behind me again. So I had to go back and shovel it again and push it off the side. And I'll never forget that. And he was as serious as they come. But Jim was a good man.
But the railroad kept running, and we kept moving trains, and business was pretty good.
When I was growing up in the early 50s, everybody on all sides of us worked for the railroad.
From the top of Nathan Street, about across the tracks and down probably 4 or 5 houses below the tracks, almost every house on each side of Nathan Street was all railroad employees. It was a railroad town, that's what it really was. You figure they had 1,400 people working here on a day shift back in the teens. A tremendous amount of people. Families, when you get out of high school, and even before you get out of high school, people went to work for the railroad.
My great-grandfather, late 1800s, sold wood from his woodlots in St. Albans area in Fairfax for the steam engines before they went to coal. And his son was a locomotive fireman between St. Albans and White River. And my grandfather worked at CV, my aunt, and my father, and I was the last one, the 5th generation railroader.
Like any town in the state of Vermont, if you have a railroad station, they got Depot Street or you got Railroad Street. St. Albans never had a street called either one.
NECR's sturdy headquarters and dispatch center have occupied the corner of Federal and Lake Streets in the heart of downtown St. Albans since the 1860s. The main shop, roundhouse, and other facilities are up the track a few hundred yards. North of Elm Street, Vermont's largest rail facility, Italy Yard, processes more than 30,000 cars annually.
Jeep 38s. Almost every railroad I've worked on, which is 6 or 7, they were pretty common and well-liked locomotive. They were, in many cases, an ideal locomotive for the short lines. They're easy to work with, they're easy to run, easy to get on and off. I haven't heard too many bad words over the years about these particular locomotives.
The GP38 roster soon expanded to 16 in the 9500 series and a trio of GP40s, 3078, 3080, and 6526. When it comes to the main line, bigger is better, as crews appreciated the larger 3,000 horsepower 6-axled SD40-2's more comfortable ride and improved adhesion. Vermont's Green Mountains tax men and machine, and these blue EMDs were up to the challenge.